Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Wednesday, November 29, spoilers for Days of Our Lives show that Xander Cook said Gwen Rischech was the reason Everett Lynch was fired. Xander pretended that Gwen was upset about the editorial supporting Leo Stark, but the Everett investigative journalist didn't think Xander was telling the truth and thought he was hiding something. On Wednesday's episode of Days, Chad Dimura told Stephanie Johnson that he had changed his mind and was prepared to give Everett a chance when they were at home. Chad expressed his desire to avoid wasting time feeling suspicious and envious when he could take action, which startled and skewed Stephanie. Chad explained that his decision was just to hold himself accountable for his errors when Stephanie questioned what he had done. Chad believed that their evening together should be the first step toward mending their differences. Everett arrived at the door with updates on his termination just as Stephanie and Chad were beginning to undress out of passion. Stephanie felt bad, as she thought her PR approach caused Everett to be dismissed after he clarified Gwen's grievance over the Leo defense. As he walked out, Chad wished Everett well since he said he'd figure something else out, and that was a great approach. Once Stephanie was alone with Chad, she found it difficult to focus on romance because she was obviously worried about Everett and felt that she was to blame for his termination. After Stephanie ultimately gave in to Chad's argument that Everett should take the blame because he was in control of the paper, their romantic evening was resumed. Everett then left Gwen a voicemail on Wednesday's DOL show, asking her questions regarding his firing and hoping she would get in contact with him again so they could talk. Steve Johnson tried to persuade Kayla Johnson and Sarah Horton that Konstantin Meleunis was not good news when he was at the hospital. Sarah and Kayla found Konstantin appealing, despite Steve's compelling argument that he could have planned Victoria Cook's kidnapping with the assistance of an accomplice. Sarah shared with Kayla that she and Xander had managed to come to an agreement on Victoria's co-parenting. Sarah seemed open to what might happen in the future, even though she didn't want to do anything that would compromise their agreement. She also recognized that she hadn't been able to push her love for Xander aside. On Wednesday's episode of Days, Alex Kyriakis heard Konstantin accuse Theresa Donovan of being with Alex just for his money at the Kyriakis mansion. Alex wondered why Konstantin would say that. Given the timing of Alex's recent windfall, Theresa implied that Konstantin felt she was a gold digger. Nonetheless, Alex defended Theresa in front of both Konstantin and Maggie Kyriakis. When Konstantin said his suspicions were just motivated by a desire to keep Victor Kyriakis' family safe, Maggie forgave him and accepted his apology. With Maggie in the kitchen with Theresa and Alex, Steve cornered Konstantin by himself in the living room and leveled fresh charges. As Steve described his trip to Greece and how the locals had told him Victor expected his loan to be repaid, Konstantin became agitated. After Steve threatened to withhold the facts from Maggie if Konstantin left town, Konstantin became alarmed by the blackmail scheme and decided to take a different approach. Konstantin disclosed the truth about the tablecloth that was taken from Saxon's clearance bin and the less-than-generous loan that Victor had given when Maggie made an appearance on Wednesday's episode of Days. Steve brought up the kidnapping and charged Konstantin with orchestrating it, even though Konstantin maintained that everything else he had said was accurate. Steve questioned whether Konstantin truly thought they would accept that some enigmatic stranger had entered the room and taken Victoria. Konstantin abruptly claimed to know who had abducted the baby, despite his insistence that this person wasn't mysterious. Since he didn't know Theresa, Alex advised her in the town square not to worry about anything Konstantin said. After listening in on the conversation and inquiring as to whether Alex was certain about it, Xander began to act as though Theresa was concealing information about her relationship with Konstantin. Alex felt he'd had enough and struck Xander in the face as his tirade about Theresa turned violent. When Sarah saw what Alex had done, she became alarmed and sent Xander running to get some ice. Alex said Theresa had had enough for one day, saying that it was extremely brave of her to do that for her. Furthermore, Alex believed that Xander was merely jealous of him being Victor's newest kid and that Xander was constantly pursuing things that he was unable to have. According to Thursday, November 30 Days of Our Lives spoilers, Nicole Walker Demura will feel as though she needs to apologize to Holly Jonas. Fans of DOO will remember that Holly was merely attempting to be helpful by taking some food to the hospital when Nicole yelled at her. But Nicole has been going through a lot because of everything that happened with the baby, so in the end, she snapped at Holly. Nicole will apologize to Holly and hope that her daughter would accept her forgiveness because that wasn't fair. Holly won't hold it against Nicole because she will understandably forgive her for her outburst. It's fantastic that Nicole and Holly will get back together because Nicole needs all the help she can get right now. Nicole can't get rid of the sense that the child is her son, despite E.J. Demura's insistence that Eric Brady and Sloane Peterson Brady's adopted child couldn't possibly be the one they lost. While Eric tells Marlena Evans, Deidre Hall, about Nicole's melancholy response to holding his newly adopted baby, Nicole will continue to think about it. Although Marlena will be upset to learn that Nicole is going through such a difficult period, she might believe that a bereaved mother's hallucinations are common. But since this is actually Nicole's baby son, Days viewers are aware that Nicole has excellent instincts. Nicole and Sloane will soon engage in a heated confrontation, so watch for that encounter in the upcoming episode or two. Dimitri von Leishner will increase the pressure on Sloane to help Liev Stark get out of his legal predicament in the interim. Should Sloane fail to fulfill her commitment, Dimitri will expose her plan to steal a baby and ruin her relationship with Eric. Theresa Donovan will delve deeper into her friendship with Alex Kyriakis in the next Thursday episode of Days. Theresa may question the nature of their relationship after the way Alex bravely stood up for her and struck Xander cook, Paul Telfer, in the face. Perhaps Alex and Theresa will move past their friendship status and declare this to be a true romance, since they clearly appear like more than simply housemates and friends. On Thursday's episode of Days, Steve Johnson and Maggie Kyriakis will learn about a new abduction suspect from Konstantin Meliunis at the Kyriakis estate. Will Konstantin assume that Xander must have orchestrated this, or will he accuse someone else of stealing Victoria Cook now that he claims to know who did it? According to spoilers on Days of Our Lives, Ava Vitali's predicament will worsen before it gets better. Trip Johnson is now unaware of Ava's true opponents, but in the upcoming weeks, that may change. Fans of DOOL are aware that Gil Carter attempted to assault Ava and perished as a result. Trip may be watching Ava more closely going forward after learning of the updates, which shocked and infuriated him. Trip would naturally start to have doubts about Stefan Dimmerer now that he's taking over Gil's position. Here, Clyde Weston is in command, but Trip might finally figure out a way to get the better of him. Viewers of Days are aware that Trip has a darker side that has lain dormant for some time. It would be simple for the writers of Days to reawaken that aspect and maybe have Trip target Clyde's weak point. Clyde devotes a great deal of time to threatening the families of his workers, but what if someone, specifically Trip, realizes what's actually happening and decides that enough is enough? Thanks for watching if you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.